All right. Welcome back to, we're calling it Ben the Menace now. I'm honestly considering calling the podcast, we're calling it Ben the Menace now. I think that would be a better name. I can't decide on the name. It's like, it feels a little silly. To be honest with you, I got to be brutally honest with you. This feels a little silly. I don't know if you ever have any empathy for a solo podcaster. This feels insane. I'm alone in a room talking into a microphone. I mean, there is a producer here. If there was no one else here, I would feel actually like I should be in an insane asylum. But I'm talking into a microphone, looking into a camera in my phone that's broken. My phone that's like missing pieces from it. And now I'm supposed to blow you away. You know? It feels a little crazy. Hey, and I love stand-up. But when you do stand-up, they go, hey, Ben's here. And people clap. Even if they don't like you, they're like, oh, yeah, all right. Give it up for Ben. Before we start this, I clap once to test the sound. And then there's just deafening silence after that. So I'm used to like people going, hey, maybe I don't know who this guy is, but let's give it up. Let's see what's, and then for a podcast, I go, just stare into the abyss. That's it. And again, I think that this is a useful tool. I like doing it. But if you're at home watching me do this and you're like, what's going on in his head? There's a small part of my brain that's firing right now that's going, I am insane. There's something wrong with me for thinking this is a good idea to talk for this long on my own. We're calling the podcast Ben the Menace, which I think is a good name. I think it's like, do you remember Dennis the Menace? I actually don't even really remember. I just remember the name. It's that catchy a name. I actually have no idea who that is, what that was, TV show, movie, music. I have no idea, but I remember the name. And that's why I'm using it for this, Ben the Menace. And it's, I know that it sounds like a little evil. And this could get evil at times, but I know that sounds like a little much, maybe depending on who you are. Like I was on a podcast earlier this week and this guy was like, hey, plug your stuff. And I go, well, I got this solo podcast. And he goes, oh, cool. What's the name? And I go, Ben the Menace. And he goes, like I'm, like it's called like Ben, who fully supports Jeffrey Dahmer. Ben, who would have voted for Jeffrey Dahmer in the midterm elections. That's a good name for a podcast. Ben the Democrat who paid for Jeffrey Dahmer to represent Republicans. You guys know that happened. He would have been a great one. I think I heard is that Democrats like donated to certain Republican candidates campaigns who were crazy. Like the kind of guy who's got like a burning pitchfork in his campaign video. Or like Tiger King, like those kind of guys. Like a guy who's like petting a tiger and almost gets eaten alive. And he's like, vote for me. Vote for me for Senate. Supposedly Democrats did that. Ben the Menace would do that for someone who kills and eats people. That was the sense that I got. The guy was freaked out when I said it. I think it rolls off the tongue. I think it's a fun name. It's obviously tongue in cheek. I'm not, when you name a podcast, it's not literal. I'm not calling my podcast Ben who is a menace to society, like Ben who's a bad person. I might say some bad things. That's the idea of Ben the Menace. That being said, ever since Kanye West got in trouble, that is the only music that I've listened to. Kanye West said, I hate Jews. And I've just been like, I've just been not only listening to him nonstop, enjoying it. Like really, like I've been playing Kanye West between sales calls to get pumped up. I'm like, fuck that guy. The guy fucking hates the Jews. I got to make, he's reminding me that as a Jew, I need to make money so I can control people like Kanye West. I always do that though. I did that with R. Kelly. To be honest with you, just between me and you, Bill Cosby it was a brand new story that Bill Cosby had possibly raped 50 women. I watched an entire special of his immediately. I couldn't help myself. And guess what? Fantastic. It was a great special. No one's denying that he's a great comedian. And, the cliche, like any marketing is good marketing or any publicity is good publicity. Even the news that Cosby was not only a rapist, but I think the worst rapist in the history of America. That's good publicity. I started watching his stand-up. They go, Cosby's one of the most evil men alive. And I go, I got to watch some stand-up. He was good. It just reminded me. It just like the actual story passed me. The only thing that stuck with me, oh yeah, I got to watch some Cosby. Same with R. Kelly. And everybody was doing that with R. Kelly. Everybody. I remember I went grocery shopping like just after the documentary came out that like really incriminated him. While I'm grocery shopping, they're playing Ignition at Ralph's. I'm walking down the cereal aisle and like, it's like, he's going to go to jail. That also is exactly what the sounds like. We're all the same. We all it's just a reminder that these people are awesome. Michael Jackson, that definitely happened with Michael Jackson. When you heard that he was just looking inside little boys' buttholes, that's really all that he did, supposedly. He just he just pried them open and was looking. And that's illegal, no question. You can't do that. But I mean, there's worse stuff you could do after that, right? I should have been Michael Jackson's defense attorney. I do think I would be a great celebrity attorney, but my defense for Michael Jackson, and I've not. You think I'm pompous, and I would say that about a lot of things. I'm pretty bad at almost every job that I've ever had. I would be amazing at defending some of the worst celebrities on the face of the planet. Michael Jackson defense, Your Honor, he just looked in their buttholes. Your Honor, can you think of things that maybe could be worse than looking through a butthole, just looking into a child's butthole? And he would have to admit, he'd probably kick me out of his courtroom. But he might have to admit that there are worse things you could do. I started this new sales job, as I mentioned. I'm trying so hard. First of all, I'm trying really hard to make money doing it. That's really hard. Calling people all day long who don't have any interest or who forgot. That's really the demoralizing thing about a sales job where you make cold calls. I call people who I talked to for a while, like who I had on the line, who I sent emails to. And then I go, hey, do you remember our call a couple of weeks ago? And they go, who, what? Who are you? That's the worst. You think you're making headway with someone. They don't even remember you. Because you encompass so little of their day. You encompass less than 5 minutes of their day. These are busy people. Meanwhile, I'm like, this is the first guy today who didn't just hang up on me. It's so exciting for me, nothing for them. And I thought I would get stand-up material from it. I thought I'd just go up on stage and just rip off, just fucking tear into a new 5 minutes about sales. Believe it or not, it's possible that the only thing people hate more than telemarketing is hearing about telemarketing. In-depth recounts of telemarketing. No one wants to hear about that. And pretty much everyone I know has a story about how they said something really rude to a telemarketer. And And people just applaud that. This is someone else's joke, but it's very similar to white trash. You go, hey, I saw this white trash guy and he's a piece of shit. And even like the nicest guy is like, fuck that guy, you know? And telemarketing is the same. You go, a telemarketer called me. I told him I fucked his wife. And you're like, yeah! People are excited. You can't win with it. I want to learn how to do it, man. I would love to. I just listened to an entire podcast about this Mormon guy who sold everybody on his electric like 18-wheelers and tow trucks. He's just a salesman. He was a door-to-door salesman who sold his alarm business, who then segued into an electric vehicle business and sold that. This guy just is a scumbag. He's a sociopath who could sell anything. I wish I had that ability. I think I have the exact opposite ability. I can sell nothing. I try to sell myself as a comic. People are like, can you do 30 minutes? And I'm like, I hope so. I don't know. It's very, very hard. I would love it if I was already respected and already good at something, because selling yourself is very, very difficult. You have to lie. And you're putting yourself on the line. That's crazy. Speaking of that, I just had a birthday. Christina hates it when I make that sound when I drink. I don't know when I started doing that. My parents don't do that. Nobody I know does that. I think I hit like 30 years old, and a lot of my reflexes are just dying. And all of a sudden, I'm the guy who's really refreshed all the time. It's a completely subconscious thing. I'm sipping anything and making noises. At 29, I would have been like, what the fuck is that guy? Fuck that guy. And now I do without even thinking. I just did it on a podcast that's being recorded. I went, yeah, I need some money. Can you give me some money? I need money so bad. I'm trying to study what this sociopathic guy in Utah did to make money. It's not working. I just had a birthday. Birthdays, it's hard to convey. It's interesting what happens, because birthdays when you're young are just so exciting, so fun. Everybody's singing happy birthday. People come to your birthday party. Kids just overjoyed to eat cake and stuff. There's so much optimism in a young birthday. I just turned 33. It almost feels like the exact opposite. I almost feel like I'm at the age and success level where I should start lying about my age. That's what it feels like. Not only do birthdays not feel good, I'm like, I should just tell people I'm 30. Like, it's not. I'm living the life of I can get by at 30. It's gonna start getting kind of ugly soon. I remember when I moved to Hollywood. Moved to LA. I wasn't living in Hollywood at first. I was actually sleeping in my car, so sometimes I was living in Hollywood. There were some good spots in Hollywood. I remember meeting comics who were like 35 and didn't have any credits, like they really didn't have a career yet. And I was like, those guys fucking suck. I was like, thank God that's not me. That sucks. Those guys don't even know that they suck. And in 2 years, I'm gonna suck. Yeah. I mean, I'm very close to being one of those guys where younger comics are like, well, I mean, thank God I'm not gonna be such a failure when I'm 34 years old, And I'm having fun doing what I do. I like what I do every day. I feel I'm developing a skill set. I feel myself getting better and better at this stuff. But my age is starting to be an issue for sure. I'm at the point I'm starting to get all the things I didn't get about Hollywood, about LA, I'm starting to get. Like women who are 39 who say they're 32. Pretty soon I'm going to be a man who's doing that. I'm ready for that. I'm like, well, just be honest. Let yourself age. Age gracefully, Have some self-respect and just be an adult. And now I'm 33. I think I told someone I was 29 the other day. I'm ready to lie. I'm ready to lie just so it seems like I'm doing better than I am. I'm ready to commit. It's even worse than fraud that you could go to jail for. I'm ready to commit lifestyle fraud. Yeah, I'm 29, and I've been doing stand-up for 6 years now. I'm ready to go. I've been doing stand-up for 2 years. I'm 29. I just started stand-up. I'm ready for that. I'm ready to lie in order to explain my lack of success. I'm ready for that. Hey, Ben, when did you start stand-up and how old are you? I'm 23, and I've been doing stand-up for 3 months. I'm ready for that. Ben, how long have you been podcasting? 2 days. I just started. Is this good for 2 days? I just started. Am I good? Am I like really good for someone who just started? Yeah. No, at this point, I don't need to learn lessons. I don't need to improve myself as a human being. I don't need to mature. I need to feel good about myself. That's all I need. I need a false sense of accomplishment. That's the only thing I need. And I think lying is the way to go. I'm just going to start telling people that I was on HBO. Ben, should I say any credits? I have a special on HBO. And they're like, oh, can we see it? No. It got taken down. Actually, HBO Max, there's so much shit on HBO Max. I could just say that you can just lie now. Here's my new plan. My name's Ben Herwitz. I'm 27 years old. I've been doing stand-up for 1 year. I have a special on HBO Max. And I'm a millionaire. I'm just going to tell people all of that. And it's not to have sex. I'm about to get married. It's not to impress the opposite sex. It's not even to impress any of you. It's so that I feel better about myself. It's just for me. Crazy amounts of lies. And I'm realizing that's what all these women are lying about. That's why they're lying. The women who say they're 30 when they're 45, who live in Los Angeles, who were heroin addicts, which is why they look 30. It like pickles you. I think that's been said before, but like people who do heroin, they age incredibly. It's so sad that the people who do heroin age so well because their brains are destroyed. They do heroin at a young age, get off it, get completely sober. When they're 50, they look 30 and they feel 80 and they're about to kill themselves. They're like not in a good place psychologically. Yeah, they're 50, they look 30 and they feel suicidal. It's not a good place to be. So if you're wondering how my birthday was, that's how it felt. It was just a reminder that I need to start lying more. And every year I have a birthday now, it's a reminder that my dad, does not approve of me. That's really all that it feels like. It's a reminder that a year has passed where you did not impress your dad. And a reminder that maybe you're never going to impress your dad. And you need to give up on that guy and stop calling him. Maybe it's a reminder that you should never talk to your dad again. Hey, I love my dad. He's a good guy. He actually was disowned by his parents. So that actually happened. What I was describing actually happened to him. He's not going to disown me. We're still cool. But I will say there's a lot of denial in the conversations. Just like not acknowledging anything that's going on. He'll call me because he's like looking up restaurants in the LA area. My mom will look up the weather. They're just looking up things that are going on around me, so they don't have to talk about how they are. I'm not saying I feel this way, but how they are pretty certain that I've devoted my life to something fruitless. I think there's And they might be right. I think there's a bum fight outside. That's great. Hey, this is a studio. We're about to leave the studio, so I'll tell you exactly where it is. It's across from Pink's Hot Dogs on Melrose and La Brea.
We still got another month.
Yeah, we got a month. If within the next month you want to come and fucking shoot the place up, go for it. More power to you. If you can get that done in a month, I think you deserve to do it. Just don't hurt the good people of Jiffy Lube, okay? What was I going to say? Oh, one night I was leaving the office really late at night one night, and I parked by the dumpster because I always park by the dumpster. That's my favorite. I parked by the dumpster, and you know that feeling where you can just sense that there's someone like watching you, or there's people around, and I look and there's two people fucking, actual intercourse. I actually couldn't see that well. Like, it kind of just looked like two people's thighs against each other, but they were having sex. So if you're curious about where I record this podcast, it's definitely, like, the better question is, where are people fucking by a dumpster? It's near dumpster fucking, for sure. Yeah, just had this birthday, which is my birthday's on election day. Which is not so bad. I actually kind of like that, because I don't really want any, like, I don't want any pomp and circumstance. I don't want people celebrating my birthday. I don't want people knowing, for the most part. There were a couple conversations I had on my birthday where there was a story that I was telling someone that involved it being my birthday, and I almost just didn't tell the story. Remember with you, I was telling you about the guy who won the settlement and how he wished me happy birthday, and I texted him back, can I have $10,000? Yeah. And part of me was just like, maybe I'll just never tell anyone this, because it involves revealing my birthday.
That's actually how I found out it was your birthday.
Yeah, no, I told two people that it was my birthday because I told them a fucked up story where I asked a guy for $10,000 for my birthday. That's the only way. You're the only two people who knew it was my birthday, because I told you and my best friend that same story about my birthday. The only other people who know when it was my birthday was Christina and my parents, and then there were two other people who I wanted to tell that I pissed off a guy who won $1.9 million. But it's election day. I mean, this time it was the midterm elections, but my November 8th is always an election. There's always an election. And actually, when I moved to Hollywood, I was in a pretty, if you thought maybe the beginning of this episode opened a little, little dark, like I was maybe not in a great place psychologically, you would have been really concerned when I moved to Los Angeles. Like, really worried. When I moved, I was just like, fatter, sweatier, more depressed, just like in a bad place, sleeping in my car. It is kind of ironic that I was like in significantly worse physical shape and psychological shape working as a personal trainer in Hollywood. In a overall bad place, watching people exercise. And by November, I think I started we opened the gym in September, I think. And by November, I was like starting to make some money. And I had just moved into the apartment. I was living in an apartment with 3 19-year-old girls, who are all dead now. No, they're not dead. I'll get to the 19-year-old girls. But I was not in a good place. And back then, God, if you've listened this far, you're ready for this. I have another confession for you. I used to fuck a lot of prostitutes. I did. It's the truth. I wish it wasn't, and I'm so past that now. Like, I have no interest in any of that. It's honestly, I like gambling now. And the difference, like a sex addiction and a gambling addiction, they're so polar opposites because when you gamble, you can win money. Like if you're good at it, you can actually win some money, and you won't always, and you'll probably end up losing a net negative, but you can profit at least temporarily from gambling. When you see prostitutes, they're good 30% of the time. So it's not even like you get the release. Like an addiction usually involves the release. I mean, it's probably similar to drugs, actually. It's like if you do coke, you want the high from coke, but then you start doing it long enough and it doesn't feel the same way. But with prostitutes, 60% of them just aren't even. This is my. If you guys tuned in for an in-depth critique on prostitutes, you came to the right place. With prostitutes, they're trying. They're like putting in effort 30% of the time. 60% of the women you pay to have sex just aren't do not care. And this is fucked up on their part. I'm letting you anyone who's a prostitute who's watching this. I hope I have some prostitute fans. Should I not be saying prostitute so many times? I've already said it like 20 times. Okay. Algorithm, you do what you want with that. Sex worker. People say sex worker. I'll shift now after I said it 12 times. Sex workers need to start caring more about the guys they're having sex, the Johns. Most of the time, the sex workers they don't give a fuck. They don't care if you have a good time. You paid them already, and they phone it in. I know waiters who work harder than most sex workers. They're phoning it in. So you're really like, the only similarity between gambling and seeing prostitutes is that you don't know if you're, like when you gamble, you don't know if you're going to win money. And when you see a sex worker, you don't know if it's going to be enjoyable sex. It's a true gamble. And on my first birthday living in LA, this was 5 years ago, or 6. I don't know what year Trump won, 5 or 6. Again, I told you I'm lying about my age. This was yesterday. I went on Backpages, which was I don't know if we have any Johns in the audience. Hopefully most of the people who end up tuning into this podcast are either sex workers or people who pay for sex workers. That would be a great fan base to have. I used to go to backpages.com. You remember Backpages? You can look up weird shit. It was like in the newspaper. You go to the back of the newspaper and they have all the ads for sex workers. Did you ever do that?
Well, when they got shut down, Theo made me go find a bunch of prostitutes or sex workers that we could interview.
Oh, nice.
So I had to go to all these websites, and I was so scared.
You never done it.
I was emailing them, and they were like, some of them were mean to me. But the big one that I don't, it was like Eros page or EROS. Do you know that one?
Eros, no.
So it was and it was just ads. It was but really well done, of like different sex workers and everything that they did and their contact information. There's something like that, and that's where I contacted most of the people. And then we got someone off of that.
Whoa, okay. Yeah. And it was a good interview?
Well, it was someone that was in training.
Uh-huh.
I let them set up, and then they messed up the audio. So the episode was unusable. I mean, we were thinking about firing them. And then we paid the person, was like, hey, can you come back? We'll pay you again. They're like, no, I said everything I wanted to say.
Oh my God.
So we couldn't, yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, it was just, we lost a ton of work.
That's a nice loophole with prostitutes though. Like they just want the money.
Yeah.
You can pay them to do pretty much anything. If you give them their hourly rate.
One of the first lessons I learned from George, I think I told you this, is that porn stars is the best return on investment you could ever get. Like, you shouldn't pay people to be guests, but if you paid not a prostitute, but a porn star, you don't have to pay them their full rate because they're not getting naked.
Right.
They're having a fun time, and people search them.
Yeah.
So a lot of in the Maker Studios days, 90% of the guests were
porn stars,
and all those videos did well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, people. I mean, I think OnlyFans is proving that people will pay to like see. They'll pay to see people not even really have sex. Who they just want to think about them having sex. People used to listen to Howard Stern when women just like talked about sex. So that all being said, I went to Backpage. I used to go to Backpages all the time. Look at all the photos. You start getting excited looking at your heart rate's going up already, just looking at the photos of these women, and it's never that woman. Like you get excited about the woman who this person's pretending to be. And I found one who was nearby. She was in the Motel 8 on Western and Hollywood. Chris is looking at that motel right now. And I went to go see her. This is like, I'm setting the stage for you. This was not a happy birthday. This could have been like, on paper, this is one of the saddest birthdays maybe in the history of mankind. This is like a Bukowski level sad. It's almost as sad as like going to the racetrack and betting all the money you have and losing it on your birthday. So I booked a prostitute. You think people are interested in how this happens? The way you set up your date?
I mean, if you don't know how it's done, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I feel like, I think most people don't know.
They want to like know where you work.
The prostitutes?
Yeah, that's what they were asking.
For the podcast?
Yeah. Well, I heard even in general, you gotta tell them like this is where you.
No, dude, I think the prostitutes you were seeing were cut above the prostitutes I was seeing.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, they said that they asked that to everyone. Where they want to know where you work. You gave a picture of your driver's license.
Oh yeah. I maybe did that a few times. In like a fugue state where I had to have sex. I maybe sent a couple of driver's license photos. But I from my recollection, when I was really going, when I was hanging and banging, this was like 2013 to 2016, 17, maybe 18, 19. I would go on Backpages, get the phone number. You see the photo. That's probably not them. And they're all in a pose very similar to the pose that those little boys were in for Michael Jackson. You see the inside of their body online. You get the phone number. I would call the phone number, and then some woman answers, most likely, or they don't. Sometimes they don't even answer. And then if they answered, I would go, "Hey, are you free right now?" And when I first started seeing prostitutes, I would go, "Hey, are you free?" I'd be nervous. "Are you free?" And then after a couple of years, I was like, "Hey, what's up, bitch? You free, you fucking bitch?" And they would, I didn't call them bitches, if you're worried about that. I respect sex workers. And they would tell you if they were free, they'd tell you to come by. They'd like text you the address, and you just go to the address, whatever it is. There could be guys with bats in there who want to hit you over the head and take your money. You have no idea. That's the gamble of seeing a prostitute. Will I die? Will I die, get arrested, and then least of your concerns, will she give a fuck about me sexually?
Well, I was so paranoid. I'm gonna sound so lame when I'm admitting this, but I was so paranoid texting these girls and emailing them that I like called my parents and some of my friends. Like, "Hey, just letting you know that I gotta do this for work in case they get arrested." That I wasn't actually trying to get a prostitute. It was just my boss told me to do it.
Yeah, that's, smart, but also lame. Yeah, like I was doing the exact opposite. I was telling nobody that I knew I was doing this, just gritting my teeth, hoping I didn't get arrested. I actually, a couple times in San Francisco, actually in Marin County, like north of San Francisco, I remember seeing prostitutes and not paying them and running away. I went to like a brothel. There used to be a lot of brothels in San Rafael. I'm pretty sure they're not open anymore. I don't think. Who knows? I'm not going. But I went to one, and there's usually when you go to like a brothel or like a massage parlor that's basically a brothel, you pay an entrance fee. So they'll go, it's $60 to get in, and then you're gonna have to pay the sex worker after you have sex. And I paid whatever it was, $60, had sex, agreed to whatever amount she said, 100, 120, 140, something like that, 80, whatever she said. I said, yeah, no problem. Finish, get dressed. She's like cleaning up, I think. I just ran out of there. I ran away from an old Chinese lady. There's usually like a house mom. There's like an old Chinese lady at the front door. So not only was I not seeing high class prostitutes, I actually didn't pay low class prostitutes. So on this election day, I went to the Motel 8. The girl lets me in, and she had like a thick West Virginia accent. Can you pull up West Virginia accent on the phone just so I can play it into the mic? I can't do it, but it's like unintelligible. You have no idea what they're saying. West Virginia. Yeah, like rural West Virginia accent where they go mudding, you know? They take a... I remember I watched a reality show about people in West Virginia, and this one guy was like burying all his money in the ground, and he would go mudding, you know, mudding? Yeah. And he, after they filmed, so they did one season of the show, is that good? Yeah, that's good. Here, let me play that. Here we go. In this video, this guy's petting a horse.
Behind everybody, then I would be sitting in a lot of places and being so miserable. You don't like your neighbor. You don't speak to your neighbor. You're bitter with the world. Atlanta's a good example. Or Raleigh. You drive down the...
Okay, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. So the prostitute sounded exactly like that guy. Yeah, I'm talking about. I went and saw a run-of-the-mill whore who sounded like an old man in West Virginia petting a horse. She's a nice girl, but she had a thick accent. I couldn't really tell what she was saying. And what I was going to say about that reality show is, I watched the whole season of this reality show about West Virginia. This guy's burying his money in the ground. He's the best part of the show. He's taking people mudding all the time. They're having a really good time. And I assume there's going to be another season of the show. They didn't renew the show because this guy died mudding. He died in the mud. I mean, it makes sense. That's pretty fucking dangerous. And it's pointless. All you're doing is taking a car and getting it stuck in the mud. And he died. And let's do a little prayer for him. Everybody hold hands and say a Jewish Kanye West prayer for this guy. I go to the Motel 8. She lets me in. She's got that thick... She sounds like Boomhauer from King of the Hill. Lets me in. And she immediately starts blowing me. Like the second I get in there. And in my head, I'm like, I think I hit the jackpot. Really what you're thinking, you're like, am I fucking charming? I'm going to have free sex with a prostitute. That's never happened. In human history, that's never happened. So she starts blowing me, and then she stops, and she goes, I just want to make sure you wasn't a cop. And I'm like, dude, is that like somehow... do I have to show you my badge after you blow me or something? Like, how does that work? I'm pretty sure cops have had sex. Have you seen The Wire? Cops are constantly having sex with prostitutes. The whole point of that show is that cops fuck prostitutes. So that was the first thing. Then, and again, this is my birthday. It's my birthday present to myself. We have sex. And if you're wondering how it was, I literally have no recollection. No, I don't even know if we had sex, to be honest. Like, I don't remember anything. So it probably wasn't. I mean, who knows? When you have a full blown addiction like that, it's all a blur. I have no idea. But I do remember afterwards, I was asking her. I was like, did you vote? And she or we were talking about Trump. I guess Trump came up, and I was like, yeah, Trump, like pretty surprised. Like, what do you think about? I think that's what I said. I was like, what do you think about Trump being president? And it's like, who better to ask than a West Virginia prostitute in Los Angeles? And she goes, oh, the election was today. I was like, oh, you didn't vote for him? She goes, if I knew it was the election, I would have voted for him. She forgot that it was the election and forgot to vote for Trump. That's a pretty bizarre human being. But that was my birthday present. I had sex with a prostitute who I thought I was gonna have free sex. I paid to have sex with a prostitute who made sure I wasn't a cop by blowing me. Who also forgot that she should have voted for Trump. That's one of my best birthday memories. That felt like a Ben Herwitz birthday. And then like do that and then go spend too much money on dinner somewhere and regret all of it the next day. You know, I'm voting for Herschel Walker. I don't know about you guys. I watched him. I watched some of the interviews with him. Actually, I watched one interview with him and I was like, this is not that bad. I don't know what everybody's talking about. And then I watched the next interview and I was like, oh, he's saying the exact same thing. He's not changing anything that he's saying. And he also is like making mistakes and forgetting what he's talking about. His policy is totally off. I mean, that's not a huge surprise. We should have more athlete politicians. I mean, it's like, I can't, it really worked. There have been a few of those weird ones where you're like, that guy's running to be in politics. And it actually worked out pretty well. Like Jesse Ventura, it's a pretty good he was a WWE wrestler and people were like up in arms when he ran and he's pretty good. Or what's his name? The guy who wrote for SNL and was, in movies and stuff. What is his fucking name? Al Franken.
Oh, that's right.
Al Franken famously cupped a woman's boobs and his political career ended. I heard he goes to the Comedy Cellar now and just runs the light. So he's this guy who got like canceled out of politics. He was going to run for president probably. Like he had a lot of potential as a politician. He was he was a senator in Minnesota, I think. And he got, people who canceled him ended his political dreams. So now what he does is just like does 45 minutes and pisses off other comics at the Comedy Cellar. just a miserable guy. But he could have been a good politician. And he was on SNL. He was a cast member on SNL who had a lot of potential as a politician, a good politician. He also went to Harvard. I think Jesse's pretty smart. What I'm saying is maybe there's a possibility that Herschel Walker is going to be an amazing politician. I mean, it's not going to happen, but there's a possibility. Like it could, in theory, it could happen. Honestly, I'm just trying to do some clickbait for the election. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I mean, I know that Democrats basically paid for Republican candidates, and I think that's really interesting. Like I don't even understand how that works or which ones they paid for. I mean, if they want to throw a wrench in the works, paying for Herschel Walker would make sense, right? A guy who's got like full blown whose brain is Swiss cheese at this point. He's got CTE. And you want this guy to just destroy he doesn't remember paying for abortions. That's a perfect guy to pay for. People are like, did you realize that this woman's coming out and saying you paid for abortion? He goes, I didn't do that. It's like maybe he doesn't remember. Athletes like Wilt Chamberlain had sex with 1,000 women. I bet you he doesn't remember every abortion he paid for. Wilt Chamberlain probably had an assistant just for carrying Plan B around. And I'm sure Herschel had a pretty similar situation. Really, like, when push comes to shove, for me at this point, it's about money and bitches. No, it's about, like, I got to figure out ways to make money. I love doing stand-up. I want to keep getting better at stand-up. I love podcasting. I've got, I've taken away every variable that can fuck up a podcast. It's just me now and Chris, and that's it. I can't. There's no crazy people I'm recording with. You know who you are. Wink, wink. There's no clinically insane people that I'm recording with. And by that I mean, I actually used to do a podcast. I used to do a podcast when I first started in West Hollywood. When I first started being gay in West Hollywood, I used to do a podcast called Alienate the Audience. If you want to find it, I think we took it down. We just said crazy shit on that podcast. That was the first one I ever did with a guy who I started with, who quit comedy. He doesn't do stand up anymore. Who lived in West Hollywood, had a good job as a tour manager for a band, and owned 7 guns. Talk about insane. I'm like, are you afraid that a gay guy is gonna, like, come on to you? Or, like, what is this for? Are you gonna do, like, a rooftop shooting of gay guys? That's probably one of the safest cities in America, but one of the safest areas. West Hollywood, nothing bad has ever happened in West Hollywood, really, except for, a lot of deals, a lot of West Hollywood deals. Like, but no one's getting hurt there, and he had 7 guns. So that's the clinically